like one of the key points and heaviest points, and definitely something that I follow throughout my whole life is the more I made, well, for me, the more I made, the less I spend, whereas the general consensus is the more I make, the more I spend is what is driving people to be in debt all the time. So,
welcome back, guys, to another session of Sleight of Mind. Today, we're going to be discussing a topic I think everyone should be on board with. It's talking about how to save your money and how to potentially get out of debt if you're in that situation. I think it's something that everyone's going to have their own little experience with. Some people are going to be better than others in this area. I think the four of us as a whole, we'd like to think that we're pretty good with our money, putting it in the right places and doing the right things with it. So we're going to share our experiences with you guys and talk about how you can become better at saving your money, little tips and tricks that you may be able to pick up on. So just throwing it out to the room, does anyone want to kick off and talk about their personal spending habits or things that they do that can benefit other people in controlling their money, saving money, and potentially getting out of debt?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kick off. I use a spreadsheet. Actually, call it income outcome statement, which is very useful for me. It tracks all my ingoings, all my outgoings, so I know what I'm gonna spend before the month comes. And I always do it a month ahead, so I know exactly where things are going, and then it makes saving a lot easier, and also getting out of debt, because those things are paid first before anything else, even before my bills, even before my luxuries like going out, stuff like this. That's all paid for first, so that's one thing not to worry about. So it's just, for me, the reason why I use it and the reason why I've given it to so many people is when they see it and they see how much they're spending on like foolishness, I like to call it, then they're like, okay, that doesn't make sense, let's start cutting back. When you don't see it and you're just like tap here, tap there, with your debit card here, there, and everywhere, that's when money gets lost. So just seeing it and tracking it is one key aspect for me that's helped me manage my money.
Agreed. I'm a big believer in tracking where every penny of mine goes. I also do a similar sort of thing. I have a spreadsheet where I track a lot of my expenses, but I'm also a big fan of an app. I don't know if it's on Android. I'll look it up and make sure I link it in the video. It's definitely on iOS. It's called Spending. They have a paid version, and all it is, it's not, I wouldn't really say it's for budgeting control, but it's more a sense of knowing exactly where your money's going. Jamie, exactly like you said, it lets you look back over like weekly, monthly, and yearly periods. And when you see, like, for example, I think I looked back after a year and I'd spent like £700 at the cinema. Just crazy things like that. It makes you think, like, you don't have to change your habit, but it's being aware of it that is the first sign that's going to help you to get out of these things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that I like to do, and something that Jamie touched on as well, was a concept I got from Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's all about paying yourself first. And this is a great tip for people that are either just trying to save money, just maybe for that rainy day fund, maybe for an investment, or if you're trying to work yourself out of debt. However you do it, on the first day that you start tracking, move money out of your account or allocate it away to something else, and that should be saved up for either your savings, your getting out of debt fund, whatever it should be. By paying yourself first and knowing that you don't have that money to use anymore, it's a lot more effective at getting you to control your spending and start saving and putting money aside.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not as good at saving as you guys are. I've been a pretty bad saver since I started working. I started working when I was 16, and I started saving properly when I was 25. So nearly 10 years of just money wasted down the drain, not thinking about my future. And also, like I've said to you guys before, I was in debt. I was in a lot of debt, mainly credit card debts, store cards, all that sort of nonsense. And I had 3 credit cards on the go at one time, all maxed out.
Yep.
And my decision was, do I try and increase my income, or do I cut out my spending? And like, which one's going to work better for me? And I tried the cut and spending thing, and I'm not good at it. If I wasn't good at saving, I'm not going to be good at trying to cut out my spending. So my next step was, okay, increase my income. And the option for me was to go and do yachting, which you guys know I went and worked on yachts for a couple of years. The pay was really good, but it was killing 2 birds with one stone, because my expenditure dropped as well, because I didn't pay any rent, I didn't pay any bills. So it was amazing for me. Every single penny I was earning was going straight into my bank account, and that's when I not only started like paying off my debts, I learned how to manage my debts properly, so which ones to pay off first, the higher interest rate ones. I learned how to sort of just to save as well. I started saving cash. I didn't really budget. I just, as soon as I got paid, I just paid myself first, really. I guess you could say a budget. I took a small chunk and said, right, this is what I'm going to go out with and do activities with. But most of what I got paid, I was like, right, that's the way, that doesn't exist anymore. This is what I have left. The principle that helped me was, right, if I can't cut my spending, how am I going to increase my income? And whatever that income is, that needs to then go on, help me reduce my spending. And by paying off your debts, you are reducing your spending, because otherwise you're just paying more interest every month.
I'm guessing with a lot of your credit card usage, were you just paying off minimum balance?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Because I wasn't earning enough.
Yeah.
At the time either I was self-employed. I was trying to, like, to launch businesses. I was trying to start my own thing. I had my own personal training business. But I think the managing debt part was what kick-started it for me. Once I realized I got out of that, and then I saw like, oh, that's a nice chunk of money sitting in my account. Never seen that before. And it doesn't have to go anywhere because I can save that now. I don't have to pay off any debts anymore. My debts are sorted, and it became addictive. I saw like 4 figures just sitting there in my account. Oh, I can't wait till next month so I can add some more to that. And then it becomes like a process. It's like a domino effect. Once one goes down, you get this hunger for it. You get excited about it. And now, as a result of that, my saving is better. I don't have any debts. I've stayed debt free since yachting. I'm making a lot less money than I was on the boat, but I'm actually in a better financial position. So it's not always just about the income that you make as well.
Yeah, I think talking about controlling your expenditure, I would say probably more important than raising your income. Because you can earn all the money in the world, and you often see a lot of celebrities or well-paid people going bankrupt because of this reason, right? It doesn't matter how much money you earn. If you don't control what you have, you can always go broke.
Yeah. The biggest lesson I learned from my experiences was, if I can't afford it, if I can't go there and buy it outright, and it doesn't affect my daily life and my monthly life, I can't afford it then.
Yep.
If I have to go and borrow money, if I have to go and pay it off, if I have to do this, I can't afford it, and therefore I don't need it.
There's a technique towards that. I don't know what book it's from, but I definitely heard it. It's, if you can't buy it 5 times, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people try to stick
That's
towards
nice.
that, So
I like that.
like I don't know about 5 times. I'd probably say 3. But either way, if you can't buy it a multiple number of times, then you really can't afford it at the end of the day. And if someone just took that simple multiplication, I guarantee you their savings gonna shoot up.
I think a lot of people as well, you'd be surprised how much you could sell. Going back to income, you could like just look around your house, look at stuff you don't use, and sell that stuff. Like hustle and just get rid of it on eBay and Amazon and whatnot. And even if it's £50 or £60, that's, you've eliminated something from your life. Do you know what I mean? And that's the same principle as eliminating expenditures in your life. It's just a nice little practice to get into, and then you get an income in as a return.
I don't know what you guys have over here. We have Let Go, which is basically like a car boot sale on an app. And if you don't want your stuff, you just put it up, and then people are like, yeah, I'll take that. That saying, someone's garbage is another man's gold. Like, literally, I've bought a few things off there for the purpose, So I think you guys have an app. I can't remember what it's called.
There's a few, man. I think the popular ones here are Gumtree, Spock. I think even eBay is
the one,
Facebook is becoming big as well with that.
Oh yeah, Facebook market. Yeah, exactly. Even stuff like that. Like Jamie said, things laying around your house can earn you an extra, I don't know, £50, but that £50 towards your debt could go a long way over time.
Shaker, any particular?
Yeah, so I think I've always been an amazing saver. Mine again was based on mentality, so it was always brought up with the ideology that, look, if you can't afford it, you can't buy it, basically, and don't buy it until you can afford it. My family never really believed in credit cards or loans and all this stuff, which I'll touch on again which I think is actually quite important once you pass a certain stage. But yeah, it's always about living within your means, and what Jamie said as well. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Like if you can use the stats of saying 5 times or 3 times. I don't generally visualize it like that. In my head, it's more visualized about the fact that you know what lump sum is in your bank. If you saw that disappear from the item you're buying, would that hurt you or not? For me, again, it was very much visual. So as soon as I started earning money, like when I got my first job, for me it was about how quickly can I save it up. When I saw the money come into my account, it was like how much of this can I save up.
Mm.
So it was always like a game for me just to see that number grow. Really, to be fair, I never got myself into debt either. I've always been quite fortunate. I think a period that I did go through. So like obviously for me, initially it started off when you're just starting off, you're saving this money, and over time it does become boring in the aspect that you realize you're saving for so long, but you've only saved a small pool of money. It gets a bit disheartening, and it's like, oh, what's the point? And then that's when I started using spending. So I use the same app as you, Sanj, and seeing where I actually spent my money. And you can easily see what it does. It gives you a nice bar chart to show you exactly where your expenditure is going. Is it food? Is it travel? Is it going out for dinners? Is it your lunches and all this stuff? And I saw a massive thing was always the food that I was eating. It was my lifestyle, which I thought I was living quite a simple life, but it wasn't. People going out drinking, you're easily spending like 100 quid every time you go out. If you just think when you're going out, I'm only going to have one drink, it's going to cost me like £5 maximum, that you can just stop your spending there straight away and have that willpower. So yeah, spending for me was a good app to hone that down, to realize where I was spending the money and then start cutting down on those savings. So for me, like again, it was cutting costs from all corners. So for me, it was don't pick up direct debits that you don't need. So like a lot of people probably have gym memberships that they didn't even go to, or they'll go for the most expensive gym. Do you actually really need to go to that gym? Things like that, cut down on those. For me, it was like even meals at work. I used to go to Tesco and have meal deals, cost £3. Even cheaper than that, bring your own food in from home. There's loads of different ways that you could do to save money. And then a big thing that I did was all the money that I did save up, I always thought about how to get that money to earn more money. For me, I think the first investment that I did make was a property, and then ended up getting this secondary income coming in. And now, once that started happening, I didn't touch that money at all. Another thing that I like to do, and this is what you guys touched on as well, was when money does come in, move it out to an account which you don't look at and it's kind of out of reach. And what you realize is by the time when you do reflect on it, either like after a couple of months, it's a big pool of money, which is great. And then look at how you can use that money either to better yourself or spend it however you want to spend it. Really, it's your money. If you wanted to treat yourself out of it, by all means do that. For me, it was very much different. It was always about how do I make those savings make more money, and it's always about reinvesting and looking at things to sort of generate another income.
You hit the key, like nail on the head. The key aspect is grow your income and then pretend it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like make a better paycheck or get a, I don't know, a promotion at work, but then pretend that promotion never happened, and all that extra money just gets siphoned into either paying your debt or into your savings, into your investment pool, whichever it may be. But that's like one of the key points and heaviest points, and definitely something that I follow throughout my whole life is the more I made, well, for me, the more I made, the less I spend, you know, whereas the general consensus is the more I make, the more I spend is what is driving people to be in debt all the time. So that's definitely a key point in my life anyway that you hit on right there.
There's a good little section on this in a book by Grant Cardone. He's got a little book, very short. I think the Audible version is only about an hour's long. Highly recommend it. It's called the Millionaire Booklet. He touches a section and he calls it staying broke. And he talks about the difference between being broke and being poor. Poor is where he classifies of basically having no money. Being broke is where you have money, but you're just not letting yourself use it. And he used the exact same principle to become, a pretty much a uber millionaire, as he currently stands. But yeah, it's a really powerful principle, and anybody that's not currently doing it, I'm not going to say it's easy, especially with a lot of social pressures that are around, in work and corporate environments. But if you're looking to change your financial game, definitely something that you should take advantage of. There was something that J-Power touched on, which reminded me of something that I heard somebody doing at university. So if there's any students that are watching this is a really good tip that I heard one of my friends do. He was someone that was especially really bad with money. One thing he actually did when he wanted to control his money, he knew that if he had money in his account, he would always spend it, regardless. If he knew he should be using it for better things, he would spend it. He had no self-control. So what he actually did was he had his student loan paid into a bank account. He opened up a separate bank account and basically set up a payment to come out, like I think either weekly or monthly, to move only a certain chunk into his second account. The first account where his student loan lay, he cut up all the cards for it. So he couldn't take any money out, and he only kept the card for his secondary account. And his secondary account was getting funded on a budget. And that was how he forced himself to make his money last longer. And don't get me wrong, it's a very extreme measure, but it got the job done. And I think it was a great tip to see somebody, especially at such a young age, doing. And if anybody else, I think, needs some extreme measure, I think that's a great tactic to go about it.
Yeah, definitely. Even if they had that set up before they go.
100%.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Another point I wanted to speak on is just what Jamie was saying about having multiple credit cards and stuff like that. I do know of a couple of techniques that people use to pay down credit cards as quick as possible. The one that I can think of right now is called the avalanche method, which you guys may have heard of as well, where it's just like pay the minimum balances, sort of like how Jamie said, on all three cards. Let's say you have three, but then you pay off the one that has the highest interest rate on it, and you put more money towards that. And you do that until that one's paid off. And then once that one's fully paid off, you take the one that has the second highest interest, you pay the minimum on the other one, and you pay that one as much as you can, and that one's paid off. And by that time, it's grown because it's got that snowball avalanche effect where the more money is going to be building up, and you'll be able to pay them off a lot quicker. So for those viewing that have some credit cards that they were looking to pay off, instead of just trying to pay them all off equally, start being smart about it. Start thinking about how can I siphon this money together to make it have an avalanche effect, and start paying down those big ones first.
That's exactly what I did. In the beginning, it was very tempting to pay off the one that has the biggest amount of debt on it. But if the interest rate on that's low, you're going to save yourself a lot of money in the long run by going after the bigger ones. A question that I want to put to you guys. So someone's out of debt now. They've got sort of an average salary. They want to progress to the next level. Would you tell them to focus on saving more money, or would you suggest they focus on increasing their income? What would be your suggestions?
Personally, my preference is always to go with, I think you need a good mixture of both. If you're in a position where you can increase your income, by all means, get at it, go after it. You want to be earning the most amount that you're potentially able to do. So personally, if I had to give a preference to one or the other, mine would be to say, learn how to save properly. I think that can get you a lot further, and that skill will last you a lifetime if you're able to do that regardless of what your income is. One thing I would say on saving, which I think is a good way to keep your saving going, is instead of saving a set amount. So say, for example, you earn, £1,000 a month, and every month you put £100 away. Don't think of it as I'm going to save £100 a month. Think of it as I'm going to save 10% of my income. Because as your income grows, so does the amount you're saving, and you're not stuck at just £100. That, I think, concept will allow you to sort of help you with your savings going forward.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think you need those buckets, right?
Yeah.
And if we don't have the debt bucket, then for me, all you have left is savings and investment. Yeah. So I'm kind of split in between the situation that obviously Sanjay just said and what J-Pow's saying. I'd probably do a bit of both. I'd be saving, let's say 30%, and then also I had 30% for my investments too, because I want my money to start making money too. So in the terms of increasing my income or saving, I'm kind of doing both because my investments is increasing my income, but my savings is still getting done as well. Make sure that money that you have saved is not just sitting there. Some of it's at least going into an investment that is then making you more money. So then again, your income is increasing outside of your career. So it's a bit of a mixture for me.
Yeah. I think I'm with you guys as well. I'm a strong believer that you have to do both simultaneously. You can't just focus on one at all. You can't be a great saver and then live on the same income and expect to go to the next level. Because take that example that Sanj gave. You're earning £1,000 a month. You're putting away £100 every month from that as savings. After a year, 5 years, that's not going to change your life at all. You're going to have to increase what your income is to get to the next level. But then again, if you don't do any of the savings and you just focus on increasing your income, the thing that generally happens is that because you're not focused on your saving, your lifestyle increases as you earn more, and that's what you want to step away from. Again, a point we touched on already. You want to live within your means, be humble, and if you look at putting your savings into investments, and that is what will really push you to the next level. It does become a snowball effect. It's always hard to see what these things will look like when you're at the starting position, but give it a couple of years and you're like, wow, the power of compound interest is immense. And that's probably the one thing that kids should be taught from a young age, like out of school, compound interest. Because you start saving at like 16, 18. By the time you're near to retirement, that pool that you've been saving and with compound interest is immense.
Yeah.
All that pocket money, just stash it in there, boy.
All those lawns.
One thing to keep in mind in terms of the increasing your income side and why people should always have a focus to do that as well. One thing that really stuck with me is I think not enough people take into account inflation, right? And if you're not looking to increase your income every year and your income is staying the same, your income is not staying the same. You're essentially taking a pay cut because inflation is happening every year. 2 to 3% of your money is becoming less valuable every single year. So if you're not increasing your money at least on par with inflation, you need to think of it as I'm taking a pay cut. And I think that should be a little bit more drive to increase your income where possible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that and be like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I've probably lost however much percent over the last 5 years.
Jamie, preference, saving, earning more?
I'd like you guys said, you have to have the right balance. I'd probably put an emphasis on saving more first. So as J-Pow said, you can then use what you saved to then reinvest it and get that compound interest. You can't invest in anything if you don't have any money. And don't go into debt. Don't go into, borrow credit to make these investments. If you can't afford it, don't do it. And that's like the ground principle. I think that's just rubbed off on me in the last sort of 5-6 years.
Yeah, I think staying away from a lot of common traps these days where I think it's especially true of credit cards, which is quite a common one that everybody knows about, but cars as well. Just making expensive things seem like they're affordable. They're not. If you can't pay the sticker price, you can't afford it. It's as simple as that. It's just how you have to look at a lot of things. It's not easy. It does require a lot of discipline. But if you're focused and you work hard and you control yourself, it's possible to achieve the financial goals that you want to get. But for now, I think we've discussed quite a good few tips there, a few books and things like that. Some of the main points just to wrap up is keeping track of where your money is going, controlling expenditure and increasing income where possible. One final thing is keep in mind the trends of where we are in terms of the digital age. Me and J-Powell both touched upon an app that we manually use to track our money. A lot of these days, you can get cards where when you spend, it automatically tracks and categorizes this stuff for you. So as easy as it is to spend your money these days, there are as many good things coming out to help you keep track and save your money too, and invest it in the right places. And again, it's something else that we'll talk about another time. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've got your own tips that you'd like to share and you think could benefit some other people, feel free to drop a comment in the section below. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. We'll catch you in another episode.